What is an accord? You've asked me, and I'm giving you a video about this topic. So what is an accord? What is the difference between an accord and a note? Also, we're going to find out who won this baseball hat that I was giving away, that I spoke about in my smoke or smokiest fragrances video. And if you want to find out all about this, please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. That's right, today we're going to talk about accords. What are accords? How are accords different to notes? You're going to find this all out. But if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you love watching fragrance reviews, finding out about new fragrances, discovering new brands, and of course participating in giveaways, and still haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So that's right, this is a question that I've been asked quite frequently, and I've decided that once I've compiled the list of questions, this one came up quite frequently, so I decided to do this video for you today. If you have any questions for future videos on specific topics you want me to cover, you can always send a question to lfsgquestions@gmail.com. And again, I don't have time to reply to everybody. I get so many questions now here in the emails, I mean, and then also on Facebook and then also on Instagram. So I'm having a difficult time replying to everybody because it's just a lot of questions. But don't worry, I will get to your questions eventually, or if I feel like I just want to answer your question, I will do that as well. So look out for replies back from me. But if you do want to send me a question, you can always send me those questions at lfsgquestions@gmail.com, so that I'll compile the questions, and then whichever one has the most topic with the most questions, then I'll do the video on that. So to let you know about the winner of the hat, I did a video last Saturday on the smokiest fragrances in my collection, and I spoke about one fragrance in that video called Black Heart Volume 2 from the House of Map of the Heart. So this is the fragrance I will review for you tomorrow. This is a Saffron review video, and we have a full bottle to give away for subscribers of this channel from the USA, Canada, EU, and Australia. And look out for that video. It's a Saffron review video, so you have to go there to participate. But it's a great fragrance. It's smoky, and I'll tell you all about it in the review. But the person that answered that question correctly first, and there were 4 answers that were correct. This is the latest. This is the first. And this is Matt Peterson. You answered the question correct. Please send an email to lfsgwinners@gmail.com. Not the questions one. That was only for questions. To claim your prize, please send an email to lfsgwinners@gmail.com with your full name, full address, email address, phone number, and on the subject write down Perfume baseball hat winner. And I'll get that out to you as soon as I'm able to send it to you. It should be about a week. And thanks so much for participating in that giveaway. I appreciate it, and then we'll do more of those kind of giveaways. I have some more hats to give away, among other things, soon. But what is an accord, and what's the difference between an accord and a note? Do you know? Are you curious in this particular topic? Are you one of the persons that asked me this question? So an accord in perfumery is similar to chords in music. When you combine or play together multiple notes or keys or tones, they form a new sound. So this idea is similar in perfumery. Replace the tones in music with notes in a perfume, and you pretty much have an idea of what an accord in perfumes is. Basically, it is a coordinated mix of essences or perfume notes carefully blended, which creates a brand new note altogether and a brand new fragrance. And according to my research, this is not something that's very easy to do perfectly. I mean, you can do it pretty rough and tumble here and there, and it'll come up with a pretty rough accord. But if you do it perfectly, because it does take time to create a perfect accord, and once it's perfected, you cannot easily recognize the original notes that went into creating that new accord, as it's now become a brand new note. Which is awesome, because you can combine these multiple different kinds of notes to create a brand new accord, and it smells completely different than what you started out using to create that accord. So once you have an accord, you can simply add it to alcohol, or in this case, perfumer's alcohol, and you can use it as is, because what you have is an accord, and it's combining multiple notes to create this accord, and it's already almost a finished perfume. So you can wear that on its own, but you can take that accord and add additional notes to it, and that's pretty much your base, what you came up with, that accord, and create a brand new fragrance. And you can still use that accord multiple times to create totally different creations and add different twists to a fragrance. So for example, let's say we have a fougere accord that you're using lavender at the top, oak moss, and coumarin, and then you're adding additional notes to it. For example, you'll add some geranium, or you'll add some chamomile or patchouli, or maybe perhaps going into a direction of more like aromatic notes and adding sage and rosemary and things like that, and you create this unique variation on a fougere. And you can take that accord again and just do some more twists, and you have multiple different versions of this accord as a fragrance. So for example, if you know about flankers, Mugler's flankers for Amen, they're basically taking an accord that's present in the first fragrance, and then they're adding new twists to it. You can still smell the original DNA in there, and then you're having a brand new flanker fragrance of it. So that's pretty much the idea of an accord. It's used a lot in perfumery, and in fact, I feel like nowadays there's less notes listed in fragrances, because back in the day, notes were all over. Now it's less and less and less notes, just like a few items in the top and a few items in the heart and a few items in the base, because I think they're using a lot more accords nowadays than they ever were back in the day. So that's my explanation of what accords are. But if you have it differently to what an accord means to you, then please do put a comment down to let me know. But what is the reason to create an accord? Can you guess? So first of all, an accord is created because there are expensive raw materials. A lot of notes can be very, very expensive. For example, roses. I'm just going to give you one example for now, because this video can be long, but roses are very expensive. So a lot of fragrances claim that there's rose in it, but and there's no real rose, because they've taken multiple notes to create an accord. And for example, I think the fragrance Rose and Queer by Frederic Malle, it says Rose and Queer, but there's no rose listed in the notes. I believe it's geranium. So a lot of the brands are cheating us or telling us it's a certain smell, but it's actually an accord that smells like what they're saying it smells like. So this is a very unique thing for me, and I like that they can do this in perfumery. It's trickery. It's awesome that you can do it, because in the end, some notes do smell like other notes, but they're completely different, and sometimes some notes together will smell like something else, and that's the magic of perfumery. But what's another reason? Another reason would be because you cannot extract actual essence from certain ingredients. For example, a leather accord. Leather is, the smell of leather is usually an accord, because you cannot extract it. And so you would have to combine certain notes, and I believe some are animalic notes and woody notes together to create an actual leather accord. Figs are also another note that is actually an accord that's created to smell like figs. One of my favorite flowers, lily of the valley, you cannot extract it. It just doesn't work. So basically you have to combine certain flowers to create the smell of lily of the valley. And then another one would be like lilacs. I love the way lilacs smell, and so they're not extractable. So what you're smelling is basically a combination of flowers that smell like lilac, and it's definitely achievable, because I have some awesome lilac fragrances that really do smell like lilacs, but it's actually trickery. It's perfume trickery or magic, because they're taking certain notes and they're giving us a lilac fragrance, even though you cannot extract lilac from you cannot extract the oil from lilac. Another reason why they would use an accord, this is an interesting one, because sometimes there are some certain notes that might change over time, like environmentally. So you have a certain ingredient in a fragrance, a note, and you love the way it smells, and you've used it many times over and over again, but 5 years later you're doing a new batch of perfume, and that particular note has completely changed, which means your fragrance is going to smell completely different now, and what people are used to buying and what is being sold now they're night and day different. So you want to have an accord that you can rely on over and over again. And the fact that environmentally this particular offering at this particular time is not going to be different because of something happened environmentally and changed the way something smells completely. So if you feel that particular harvest is going to change, create an accord, rely on the accord and not that harvest of that particular ingredient, because that does happen over and over again. And I've seen it. I mean, we've smelled it the same. Like when IFRA regulates fragrance, like specific notes and things like that, and they remove some of it because you can have lesser quantities of it, and they add something else, we notice the difference. So our noses are not lying to us if we are, I mean, our noses do lie sometimes, but most of the time we can totally tell, like if a fragrance smelled one way and it smells completely different now because of that reformulation. So those are the reasons why accords are used quite frequently. And as I said, nowadays I feel like there's more accords and fragrances than in the old days, because in the old days they listed lots of different ingredients for notes, and now it's become less and less, as I was saying. So what are some of the most popular accords? I was telling you about a fougere accord, and typically with a fougere accord you've got lavender, oak moss, and coumarin. That is one particular accord. You can create this and then take it, and you want to launch a perfume brand, and all your fragrances are going to be about fougeres. So you start with this accord and you create multiple variations on a fougere because you're taking the accord and then you're adding certain ingredients in the top and the heart and the base. That's one fragrance, and then you change it up on the second one and the third one and the fourth one, and you're still relying on that accord you created with the main ingredients like lavender, coumarin, and of course the oak moss and heart, but then you're changing it up with certain other notes. So you can come up with like 20 different versions or 100. It depends on what you add and what you remove. Could go into a more of like a licoricey direction. For example, Florist has Vert Fougere. You can go in that direction, add smoke to it, or galbanum. You can do a lot of different things once you have that, you know, accord created. Another popular accord, one of my favorite accords, amber. You don't really have amber as an ingredient or a note. There's no such thing. The idea of amber is there, but it's used utilizing certain balsamic and resinous notes to create an amber accord. And if you're curious to discover a little more about amber and resins and balsams, balsamic and resinous notes, I do have a full 1-hour video discussing resins and balsams. You can click on that to learn a lot more about that. But basically you're taking things like labdanum, benzoin, and vanilla for a simple amber accord, and you can build on it. You can just do a brand of amber fragrances, and you're going to have 20 different amber fragrances, and each one focuses on some additional notes. You can have one to be spicy, you can have one to be more gourmand, you can have one to be more patchouli, powdery, you name it, going on and on and on, but you're still using and relying on those 3 ingredients to have that amber accord, the labdanum, benzoin, and vanilla, but then you're adding certain notes on top of it and creating something unique there for each different fragrance. And lastly, a Chypre accord. I mean, these are not the only accords that I'm familiar with. I'm just telling you a few here for this video. Chypre accord basically relies on bergamot, labdanum, and of course oak moss, but sometimes patchouli, and you can basically build that accord, wear it on its own. You can add to an alcohol, and it probably is going to be fine as it is, but then you can take that accord and build on it. You can add some rose to it, you can add some additional ingredients to it, like you can make it a citrusy Chypre or a woody Chypre, add some woody notes, just any kind of combination, and you build a brand on just doing nothing but Chypres. So that's pretty much the idea of accords, guys. What are your thoughts? Are you familiar with this? Do you have this idea of accords as something completely different? Did I miss anything? And what are some of your favorite accords? I mean, there's so many accords out there, but these are the more popular and significant accords: an amber accord, fougere accord, Chypre accord. But you can have a sweet accord, you can have a woody accord, a citrus accord, depending on whatever you combine together. For example, you can combine a lemon and lime lime and create some kind of a citrus accord. You can combine like sandalwood and cedar, a woody accord, and spices or aromatic notes to create an aromatic accord. All kinds of chords, but these are typically some of the more popular chords that I really enjoy. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. If you want to send me questions for future videos, it's lfsgquestions@gmail.com. Other than that, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.